Hello everyone, it's the Redmen Podcast. I am Paul Machin, Chris Pajak and Steve Hoare join me for this one. As ever, it's like the third one we've done.
It's been fun though.
Yeah, it's been 100% of us so 100% far.
100% fun.
Yeah.
100% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah. We watched that again the other week actually. It's a lot as funny as you remember it.
I disagree.
Some of it is.
It's really funny.
Some of it isn't.
Okay.
It's probably because there's comedy programs and films and all that kind of stuff that are so parodied and so overused that you can't. It's like watching the Naked Gun films now. They're brilliant, but it's been done a million. That escalated quickly is amazing, but like if I'd not seen that every single day on social media for the last 3 years, it would have.
I am known to use the "I'm a big deal" gif on more than one occasion as well. So yeah, listen, I'm a basic human man. I like the basic of basic comedies. I'm very much of the masses.
Yeah, exactly. Coca-Cola and Missionary.
Socks on.
Come on, he's more than that. He's Dr. Pepper most of the time. You know this. Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Socks on all the time.
Yeah. Right.
You don't want to miss the sock cap, to be fair. Like,
we are gonna
there's a window where you've got to take the socks off, or you're just a man in socks having sex.
I missed that window.
Deliberately.
Regular, like.
I get cold toes. It's fine. Let's move on.
Circulation issue.
Yeah.
There's only so much blood and an increasing amount of space.
I was about to say,
okay.
They were basically there going, I'm only going to take them off for 2 minutes. Is there any point?
No, we remember a few weeks.
Before I put my Jowie bottoms on.
A few weeks ago, when I said a giraffe getting a sore throat, me losing all the blood into one place is very much a lie.
Right.
A lie. That's a lie. It's such a lie.
It's been a busy old week for Liverpool Football Club and ourselves. We're going to talk about some of the things that have happened and some of the things likely to happen. We'll go back to Forest at the weekend, talk about the FA Cup draw, a little bit on the fact that Manchester City are top of the Deloitte Money League due to revenue. Okay, we're going to have a little laugh at Everton, because why not? Because it is the international break, so there isn't a game for us directly to look forward to, so we will do a little bit more on the bits and pieces around us. There is a kick-off question before we get into all of that. It comes from Owen Slater, who is one of our Club Legend subscribers on Redmen Plus. Oh, by the way, I just want to point out, if you're watching this on YouTube, we have updated our logo to the Ecru style in celebration of the release of Jay Pearson's incredible Ecru story documentary, which is streaming now on Redmen Plus. More on all that a little bit later on. But anyway, Owen Slater, you can go back and wrap one Liverpool player past or present in cotton wool so they are never injured. Who would you pick and what changes will it have made/make to the history books? Chris Pajak, who's put in an inordinate amount of thought into
I don't like these because we were talking about it before, the butterfly effect and stuff and what it means for different things. So I've got a short list of players. I'll maybe talk about my short list after you've done yours. The player that I'm going to go for is Alisson Becker, prior to the Atletico Madrid game where Adrian comes in the Champions League. It doesn't make any impact to the Premier League. Like we've won that, but we might win a European Cup if Adrian's not playing. And so that is the most to gain, but the least to lose type of thing.
Liverpool end up in that weird summer tournament thing in the Champions League instead of having a summer off is the only potential knock on. But then again, the season that followed couldn't have gone any worse. So, but then again, maybe Alisson then gets injured and in the season.
You can never get injured again, though, can he?
You can't get injured ever again.
Never injured again.
Ah, okay, sounds cool. Well, I'll have that then. Yeah, that's good.
It's a good answer. I was thinking Mo Salah the second before Sergio Ramos grabs him. Just like... cut him all, but then the butterfly effect of... If we win that cup final, does that mean we just keep carriers and we don't get Alisson and we don't invest again? So that's the butterfly effectiveness of it. But I'm quite happy thinking just having Mo Salah every game would be quite awesome. But we've almost got that anyway. So my answer is actually Trent. Just before the...
It doesn't matter when.
Just in general. Just Trent. Yeah, I'm just thinking back to when we had to play City at home and with all due respect to James Milner. He'd done well the week before at right back, but then Phil Foden just toasted him. Now, he might have toasted Trent. He absolutely might have, but I think if we can guarantee Trent's on the pitch for 38 games of Premier League football and he's always fit and firing, it's the one area of the squad that I don't think we've got good cover for.
It's a good shot.
I hate when we miss Virgil, but at least Matip, Konate, Gomez is more than adequate. I think we are really struggling when we don't have Trent, and we might see that in a few weeks' time. So I'm going to just give me Trent all the time, every time.
I have decided that the butterfly effect be damned.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have gone Fernando Torres.
Okay.
Because I think Liverpool win lots more under Rafael Benitez if Fernando Torres is available for more than 5 games at a time at any period during his time at Liverpool Football Club. With the greatest respect to David and Go and his ability as a backup for us, you just think about, and even like
how great is the respect?
The greatest that I can offer,
yeah,
is that I'm not going to answer that question.
I had a feeling it might be somewhere around that level.
You remember this name?
Yeah.
That's what it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't that lad.
But that's no great respect on my part because I have an encyclopedic.
Okay. And also, like, I remember his name, and it's not for good reasons.
Yeah. He's got a cracker against Arsenal first game of the season.
Man United, didn't he once? Yeah, Reynolds runs the pitch.
Why not? I'd go with Torres because, and here's the thing. Here's my thoughts on the butterfly effect. Having watched. And without spoiling the Adam Project on Netflix at the moment, but there's a nice notion in there of like, you know, if things are meant to be, they're meant to be. And Liverpool and Klopp were so destined for each other that they'd have found their way to one another regardless. So, I say, no, I'm interested to know what you're in here for.
Let's stop. Wait, what's going on?
He's touching Steve inappropriately, ladies and gentlemen. I don't really know why.
Steve's mic's facing the wrong way.
Sad.
Right, okay.
Chris, I will continue to talk. Yeah, I want to know people's thoughts on this. If you're watching this or listening to it live, then by all means, please let us know your Liverpool player, past or present, that you're wrapping cotton wool so they're never injured.
Can I tell you my 2 other options then while we go? So Daniel Sturridge, because I wanted to see what he would be able to do, but I'm scared of the butterfly effect.
So sorry, is that so? Have we fixed that now?
It's just facing the other way now.
Why don't we just spin the pop shield around if it's facing the right way?
You absolutely can do. I just said it around.
Okay.
So Daniel Sturridge, because I wanted to see what he was able to do, and also Marcus Babbel would, but I'm not sure it actually affects trophies won. You know what I mean? So it's tough because do Liverpool get closer after 2001 to league titles with Marcus Babbel? Not 100% sure.
Probably closer
so you're
with
wasting.
Michael Owen than
well, Owen's injuries all came really after Liverpool, didn't he? I mean, he had some early on in his career.
But even he says himself, doesn't he? His hamstring injury does for Liverpool.
Ruins his life.
Exactly, is what it does. So it's like
but I considered Michael Owen, and I was like, fuck him. He went to Manchester United.
Sad. So even though it would benefit Liverpool,
well, we found his true colours out, didn't we?
Interesting point. Yeah. Sturridge
is a good one because we always remember, obviously 13, 14. Sturridge can't play that Chelsea game, can he? That's why Aspas has to go and take a fucking corner. So he would be, again, it's if you don't believe in butterfly effect, because if Rodgers wins the league, is he our manager for the next 20 years in a door just because we absolutely love him? But if you don't believe in the butterfly effect, then that's another one, because that was a heartbreaking one. So if you had Sturridge fit all that time, because we was Sans Jordan at that point as well, it just felt a little bit like we were running out of steam.
Is there just have Gerrard not be injured for his whole career?
It'd be nice.
Think about how we had to protect. He carried that team, but also had to protect them.
I thought about Steven Gerrard, and I was like, is that not what drives him on to be better in the latter part of his career? Because he missed so much football up until the age of 20, didn't he? And he had those, growing pains and issues with his back.
Spiked
and
his
all
foot on a fork.
Now, he changes the way that he plays because of that. And does that actually end up extending his career? I don't know. Like, these are all things that, like, I consider a lot of players for this, and like, no one's mentioned Virgil last season. Like, what happens? Admittedly, what happens is probably we play Virgil and Fabinho at the back more. Nat Phillips doesn't get a game and all that type of stuff. So Virgil might be just a solid shout. We might do a lot better. But then Alisson doesn't score a header, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
absolutely. I know you did too.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
Good question, Owen.
Robbie Fowler's first major injury, says Rick HT. I think it's a decent. That's it again.
I'd much rather Robbie Fowler not get injured than Owen.
Yeah, just because we liked him more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can go with that. I'm on board.
Yeah, well, that's it. He does his cruise shit, doesn't he? He's in the time.
Shit,
and and he's never quite the same footballer.
Divock against fucking that blue nose yard dog.
Oh, Villarreal. Yeah, for
Everton.
Funes Mori.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
it was in the
his
derby.
brother played for them anyway. Yeah,
it was him, but and Divock was about to hit superstar. I think, and I'll listen again. Butterfly Effect, he goes on to still do amazing things. But I actually thought Divock was he was just starting to be Liverpool's proper number 9, and he was having a really good season, and then that idiot ended him for like 3 years. Like, he was wiped off the face of the earth. But the comeback story of Divock makes it like, you know what, maybe he can lose an Achilles. I'm all right with that. He come back in the end.
There's a couple of like outside shots that aren't going to make any difference to trophies.
Outside shots.
Outside shots. Sorry, I've been at the caravan, Paul. We have lots of outside shots over there. It's a phrase that I use a lot.
Podcast extra. We're going to be talking about that.
Danny Ings, I'd love to see what his Liverpool career would have been like without the injuries, and Jose Enrique as well, because I think we had our left back issue sorted for a while, and then we go into the wilderness for a couple of years. Yeah. But I don't think they actually make any difference.
Fabio Aurelio for that.
That's a great shot. That's a better shot. Yeah, Fabio Aurelio.
Yeah.
I was a fan.
But Danny Ings, I thought you might have an outside shout at Danny Ings. I know
you had a real thing for Danny Ings, didn't you?
I like Danny Ings, yeah. Mainly because there's that. I had great respect for that Instagram photo, and his girlfriend was so fit at the time. Yeah. And there's a photo of him just sitting there, and she took the photo so you can see her in the mirror or whatever behind. I just thought, he's playing for Liverpool. He's a really upbeat, happy guy. And he's living his best life off the pitch as well. Like, I mean, I got a real... Yeah, and obviously Jürgen loves him to bits. If he could just score the winning goal for Aston Villa against Man City later on in the season, this is absolutely splendid. You're loosening the wrong thing, for the start.
It's okay. It's absolutely fine.
It's this, so you can spin it round.
Oh, well, there you go then. Why didn't you just say that?
Because... Jesus Christ.
Let's just leave it, doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay, sounds. Yeah, keep your answers coming in. Andy Carroll, the myth. So Sunset Boulevard, yeah, God.
No, I'm kind of happy he got his injuries, to be honest with you.
If you've got any questions...
He might still be turning up at the back end of seasons for... I know he couldn't. I'm just happy he got his injuries, it's fine.
Okay, fine, we'll leave it there.
He wasn't good enough to take us where we needed to go.
Even if he was fully fit.
Especially.
Yeah, if that meant if Rapid and Cotton Ball meant he didn't go and get off his barn at the festivals every summer, then maybe he might have been a slightly better footballer as well, but who knows. Right, allegedly. No, but seriously, you've all seen the photos of him in the red cap, right? It doesn't matter. Right, okay, sad.
Okay, I'm leaving it. It's making it worse. Sorry, shot at me. Sorry.
Stop fiddling.
Stop touching things. Stop touching your nuts.
Right, sounds. Right, let's move on. Who Knows Wins, our sponsor on the podcast for the rest of the season, where we last week did the Pick 10 League.
My word.
Oh yes. If I win a rich man.
Who did you pay to do your picks this week?
I did them live in front of Steve. Maybe that was the thing, because I had to be sensible on it this time.
Need an audience to perform.
I am capable of performing. I've performed better in front of an audience. Anyway, so the Pick 10 League last week, we had to pick for what we thought would be win, draws, or the team winning from 10 fixtures. You don't have to get all 10, which is the beauty of Who Knows Wins. I got 9 out of 10 this week. And
you must have won money.
I unfortunately
tenner or something like.
Yeah, if I can we get the results up from
yes, I can
from last time. If we get the league up. So I it was all going spiffingly, but I had Leicester Brentford as a draw, and obviously Leicester were 2-0 up, and then Brentford scored with about 10 minutes to go. If they'd bagged that equaliser, I'd have got all 10, and I think I would have been, it was about 400 and something quid, I think, the first prize.
£481.28 of the pennies.
Now, if you'd have got into that, then maybe it'd have been slightly less. But you'd have won about 400 quid. Load. So there was, how many people got? My God. Oh my gosh, I broke it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 people got 10 out of 10, got 480 quid.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think in cup games that makes sense because there was a lot of big favourites.
Yes.
I just decided I came last, not to back them all, which was idiotic.
The West Brom draw kicked me on in a big way, because draws, you realise this, draws are actually ridiculously difficult
predict.
To pick, yeah, because again, you more often than not, you just go with the home teams.
I used to do accumulators all the time on just 4 draws across like the top few leagues and stuff like that. And I remember winning 400 and something quid on that a few years ago around Christmas. It literally just paid for me Christmas, which was brilliant. Like,
before we move on, can we just draw attention to who was bottom of the Redmen League?
Yeah, it was me.
Steve, Billy Big Bollocks.
Did you high five on the stairs?
Yeah.
You literally just swapped positions.
I overthought it. I backed Southampton to draw with City, and I thought I was in good nick until I very much wasn't.
They absolutely wiped the floor with
them. Yeah. Listen, I've had better days. I had the Brentford draw that you referenced, I think. But yeah, listen,
it was still haven't got the hat.
Yeah, no. Reece, guys, where's the hat? Listen. My thinking is now the next time the hat comes, we just don't worry about the backlog of the hat anymore.
We'll take it in. Well, everyone who's lost has to wear it.
Listen, that's debatable. Okay, I'll wear the hat.
No, okay, to the most recent person to lose.
Give it 2 weeks, lads. Before you send the hat out.
Am I right in saying that you, Charlie, and Si were all at the bottom last week?
I defo was.
Yeah, it's been a flip reverse.
Ross
has been like constant 6. It's kind of like Ross's life, that just like constantly just above average.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. But as we said, this is what we were aiming for in this game. It's just to be in contention and don't wear the hat, but don't necessarily have the highs. And this is when you've fallen foul of your own hubris by being like, I'm boss at this, I'm dead good, I know loads about footy, and then you're bottom of the league.
And we've literally not spoken about my results 3 weeks. So that's great.
Exactly.
I'm in a great position here. Exactly. I'm not getting quizzed
Chris,
at all.
Can we have a vest of mediocrity, please?
I am mediocrity.
Mr. Mediocrity.
Right, there's another league.
That's my wrestler name.
There's another league this week. Yeah, if you download the app, the link is in the description underneath, which looks good for us if you get it on that. And then there's 9 in because there's been a fixture postponement.
Can we show you on the screen? Yeah. So if you download the Who Knows app, Who Knows Wins app, rather, for those of you who are watching along, you can see on the screen there. Click on the top slider there to the Pick 10 League. If you're listening along, I'm sure this makes sense as well. Yeah, and then there's this week's games. There's some international friendlies as well, which throw into the mix. But how's your League One knowledge? Wimbledon, Cambridge, all I can see there, like neither
Lots
of them.
Losses.
They're both shit, apparently.
And yet you can't pick L.
Yeah, no, but, Doncaster versus Charlton, how's your League One knowledge going there? 95% of people are picking Charlton. I might just follow the crowd on that one. Yeah. Ipswich, oh my God, Plymouth have won like loads of games, apparently.
Flying.
So yeah, Plymouth looks like they're nailed on there. We've got Chef Wed versus Cheltenham. I thought Cheltenham was a racecourse. Shrewsbury versus Lincoln. Oh, there's a lot of action on Shrewsbury. And then we've got international friendlies. Nobody's predicted Ireland to get anything with Belgium. 100% of people are picking Belgium to go to Ireland and win, which is understandable. Everyone's picked England to beat Switzerland as well in a friendly.
Ooh, that's got a draw written all over
it might have that, yeah. Spain versus Albania. Unsurprisingly, everyone's going for Spain in that one. Denmark going to the Netherlands. 5% are going for the draw, 95 going for the Netherlands. And then
when did we drop Holland as a thing to call the Netherlands?
Apparently, isn't the reason Holland's a part of the Netherlands?
I don't know.
Yeah,
is that why?
Yeah, I think so.
I got told off when we did like Redmen Euros years ago to stop calling Ireland Era because I just had that stuck in my head from an old Tracksuit Manager game on the Amiga from back in the day, and I always thought it was like, that's quite good. Like saying International, like instead of saying Inter Milan, it's like, that shows I've got a great out, and all the Irish were like, don't do that. Yeah. I was like, okay, sounds, yeah, fine, yeah, whatever you say, fine, yeah, cool. Not gonna, don't tread on Irish toes. Don't tread on Irish toes.
Don't mess those Dutch.
There's
probably a reason that they want to be called the Netherlands that we're not clever enough to know, but yeah, let's go for Netherlands.
Here's a question for you, by the way, before we crack on. I've asked this in other places. Why does each country and language have their own name for other countries? Why not?
Because they think they're the most important country and language. It's that, isn't it? Like,
hubris.
Yeah. Actually, the French do it right sometimes, don't they? When it's like, what is it? Is it
a descriptive version of it?
Well, no. Sometimes they just use the word because the English came up with it. Sometimes I can't remember.
The French don't like French as a rule in language don't like new words, so they tend to describe what it is rather than create a new word in that regard. Yeah. That's why you end up with like magnetoscope instead of instead of
So whatever the French is for postponed, that's what Morecambe versus Oxford is because of international calls. So there's only 9 games to pick from there, so 9 might be enough this week, but get
involved. The link in the description, as mentioned, you don't need to get all 10, so that's the difference between that and an ACHA. And an ACHA, obviously, you're aiming for perfection, whereas this one, as I see, even I, and this, I'll be honest, a little disappointing that 9 didn't get me more, but also, in reality, it was an easier week, quite clearly, and I've done well in the easier week, which actually is more disrespectful to Steve's abilities when you really think about it, because even in an easy week, he couldn't do it, but the proof is if I can do it, then you can do it too, so get involved, and hopefully get yourself a little bit of dough as well, which is nice.
Gamble responsibly.
And of course, make sure that you do all that good stuff as well. And do just click the link, download it. It's good fun. If you don't want to, by the way, if you're not into all that kind of stuff, then please don't feel forced. We're going to do it. We're having a good laugh with it. But you can just enjoy it tangentially. Enjoy it vicariously through us if you're not into that whole thing. But yeah, other than that, let's move on. Last game, Forest, Liverpool. It was a tough game, but you know the thing that ultimately strikes me, I think we have a tough way of analysing these games when you're playing teams lower down the football pyramid, and you looked at the quality that Liverpool put out, but Liverpool made 7 changes for a football match and were able to, by hook or by crook, get across the line. That's a good thing, and it's also a good thing that really, beyond this next 5 minutes or something, we'll just remember that Liverpool beat Nottingham Forest and got to the semis more than anything else.
Literally, isn't it? Quarter-final, last game of a massive slog. So it was just getting by it. And I said again, me and Chris both were on the final word show on Redmen Plus this week, and we basically said like it was almost a lose-lose Liverpool. If you beat Nottingham Forest, it is what it is. You beat Nottingham Forest. If you lose, the quad's over, and it's one of the biggest results of the season. There was lads who needed minutes. There was lads who were injured, lads who need rest, and I think it all played into it. Like I think Jürgen was lucky. He did pick a strong team. Like I think he wanted to pick as strong a team as pretty much he had, other than the fact that he was desperate to give Sadio rest. The rest were enforced changes, pretty much, wasn't he? So he's gone as strong as maybe he thought he could in terms of medically and stuff. And listen, again, like you said, I don't remember Liverpool beating the quarterfinals when we won the League Cup in that treble season. I could work it out by going back in my head. I think it might have been Aston Villa, maybe. But going, all intents and purposes, I think that's wrong, actually. I think it was 0-3 or 4. Anyway,
it proves your point.
It's like no one cares. All we'll care about is finals and who's lifting shiny trophies at the end of it. And you just get through it. And I said that I think the break actually come at a good time for us now. Not only in terms of legs and physicality, but also mentally. It's been a tough run. You've had to be perfect just to close the gap to a point. Yeah. Like we were perfect and we're not even top of the league yet. Yeah. So it's been a tough slog. So just that was like the last step of climbing the mountain, and the last one's hard to get.
I think that's absolutely spot on, and we've spoken about this, Chris, and what this period was all about. It's the boring stuff. It's the stuff that goes underneath. It's stuff that you'll never see and you'll never talk about again. Of course, we'll talk about the League Cup final, but it's like to the point. We did the silverware stories of the 2001 treble season. And I've written the scripts for the FA Cup and for the finishing in the Premier League and the UEFA Cup win as well. But you do largely go, yada yada yada, you're in the final. Yada yada yada. The rest, to the point in which you're in the decisive games. We yet to see what those decisive games are because we're not in the future yet. And that's all this is all about. This is just like laying the groundwork. Is I suppose the simplification of it all. Doesn't mean it's doesn't add to the fun of it being this period because there's so much pressure on us now. 2001's different because we're flying by the seat of our pants and it's. Liverpool haven't been good for a long time. There's probably more pressure that comes with it externally and maybe internally as well because he talks about that need for perfection. But really, yeah, that's what this was. It was just hopefully when we get back from the international break, that's when you start to reap the benefits.
When I think back to 2001 and we were going to, was it the 1-4 in town for a lot of the games and stuff like that? Like, we're of the age where you can go out drinking and stuff like that. We're able to go and enjoy that for the first time, really. Of Liverpool going into Europe and all that type of stuff on our own terms and doing well in it as well. Whereas now we do that every year and there's a pressure that comes with that and you've got to get so far for it to even be a success in the season, you know what I mean? And, you go out at the group stage of the Champions League and it's an absolute disaster. Whereas here, when you first get back into the Champions League, it's just nice to be there and go and have 6 games in the Champions League, isn't it? Yeah. Whereas now that's all changed. The pressure's there, of course. What I loved about the game at the weekend, and I said this to Steve yesterday, is I started writing the agenda for the final word and I was like, it's a nice mix of youth and experience. Like, no, scratch that, it wasn't. It was a mix of experienced players and experienced players lacking minutes. Yes. And talking about laying the foundations for the rest of your season, you're giving the experienced players that don't have minutes, and you don't know when you're going to need them next, and that's important. So it's really important that these lads got through that 90 against Nottingham Forest, got the result, because you don't know who you're going to need in the next few weeks and stuff like that. Like, it's already looking like we may or may not need an understudy to Trent Alexander-Arnold. So Gomez playing a game there is a good thing, even if you're planning on Milner, because you might need Gomez somewhere else. So for me, with a couple of days looking back on the game, it's just great to go through, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah, no, completely on that. It's like anything, isn't it? You just... Yeah, it either ends in silverware or it doesn't. And if it ends in silverware, you're not arsed. And ultimately, if it falls short, you're arsed because you've gone out, but how you got to that stage becomes irrelevant. So ultimately, it is irrelevant how you get through, particularly in cup football, because cup football can go all different kind of ways. If the best team always won, then there wouldn't be all these magic of the FA Cup stories. It would be another... I mean, that's the League Cup largely. The best team that wants to go for the League Cup normally wins the League Cup. Whereas that's actually...
Best squad.
Yeah, exactly. It's not always true of the FA Cup. So that's why you end up with Millwalls and Middlesbroughs and Wigans and stuff in those kind of situations.
I think as well, Paul, I think it's fair to say, we've been winning, but we haven't been great. And that's why I think, again, this game was almost like the culmination. I bet if you had one more game, that might have been the game where you dropped points or you lost it. Or, you know what I mean? I think we were almost at the point now where it's been a slog.
Particularly because it's Forest as well. Like it adds. I think it adds to the slog because there is a thing of going, well, we should be beating these, and and underestimating that they're going to come out, give everything. They've got a whole. They'll be geared. Everything in their DNA of that match is geared up towards causing an upset, trying to stop you from doing your
Since
thing.
Leeds, really, that's 6-0. I think we've won. We keep winning, but it hasn't been brilliant. It hasn't been dominating Liverpool, has it? Again, I think there's lads who are lacking sharpness, lads who are lacking minutes. Then we get injuries, and then there's a little mini COVID outbreak over Avia. So it just feels like we got over the line in that one. And then we need someone to come over us. Not that big silver blanket at the end of a marathon. Yeah. This international break is very much we're getting wrapped in the tinfoil of recovery now.
The gas in air.
Yeah, we just about got there, and we got there because we're quality and the quality of player we've got, who can just do something out of nowhere and make a magic moment out of nowhere. And ultimately, in the last few games, we've got that. Like Arsenal, when we beat them, we were good, but it was 2 moments, bang bang. And again at Nottingham Forest, it was. You get a bit of luck because their lad misses a city, go down the other end, great cross, great finish. Just that extra bit of quality shone in the end. But I think, like I say, not to reiterate too much, is that I think that was a tough game in terms of where it was in the calendar. And I think everyone now would be happy just to go, even if they are going to fly and play for England or Ireland or wherever they're going all across the world now, just a break from it. Just get a week away, and then you can come back for Watford and go, right, we switch on again. Yep. It's hard. I think it's hard to be so switch on all the time, focus, next game.
And I actually think it's interesting because Klopp referenced a couple of times, particularly with like Arsenal, how many times Arsenal have played since we last played them. Liverpool have played 13, 14, whatever. Effectively double the amount of games. It's on his mind, and again, they all know. And I think that goes back into the whole... Go and get your break at the end of January, go and recharge the batteries, because when you come back it's this. And then Robbo's talking about getting back for the international break and being foot to the floor to the end of the season. They've clearly chunked the season up to psychologically help them get through it. Just moving forward then, obviously we saw the semi-final draw, as in depth as it was. It was Robbie Fowler pulling 4 circles out of a cloth. Not quite how we would have had it. I think we'd have all preferred Crystal Palace, to be perfectly honest. But Chris, ultimately, and I think this works both ways. If you want to win trophies, you're going to have to play City or Chelsea in this world at some point down the line. I think this does add to the anxiety and the stress of it all, particularly City, because they've got whether their aura's cracking in other ways, it doesn't feel like that to us. Because you still know that we're capable of beating them, but they feel increasingly in the last couple of years capable of beating us more than they certainly felt like we had their number for a little while. But it kind of is what it is. You know, you've got to kind of take it at face value.
I genuinely believe that the squad doesn't think like us as fans. They're the hunted in this scenario. That's what Manchester City are. Liverpool are the hunters. They're coming for their trophy, their Premier League title. That's what they're after. They've closed the gap. Man City are on the back foot, make no mistake about it. They're very much backs against the wall, doing everything they can to keep Liverpool off them. Yeah. Liverpool are there to maul them. Liverpool want these type of things. They don't tell me the squad don't want to have an opportunity for greatness. I'm a shithouse.
Yes.
I don't want to play Manchester City in games because of the idea that find that we're not good enough.
Yeah.
You think a fucking sportsman thinks like me? Fuck off.
Yeah,
a sportsman wants the exact opposite. They want to go up against the best, beat the best and be the best.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
And Manchester City right now are running scared, I believe. Liverpool are after them. Their focus has been there. Manchester City have focused on the Liverpool game in a defensive point of view for months now.
Yeah.
You're right. And listen, we're probably going to have to be both of them. You say you've got to be City or Chelsea to win trophies, but we're probably going to have to be... The odds are that Chelsea will get through Palace, so we're going to have to run the gauntlet to both of them. Mm-hmm. But again, like...
Just for the FA Cup.
And that literally just, yeah. And then, listen, there's a option of one of them very much could be in the Champions League final, the way the draws point out. So it might be again, if we get that far, touch what we do, we've got to go through it again. But I think these are 3 of the top 5 teams in Europe. I think...
Yeah. Agreed.
I think I'd throw obviously Bayern Munich in there, and then I was thinking Madrid until the other day when they got absolutely blown away. But in general, we're in the league and in a competition now where this is where we are because we're all so good. And I'd say I think us in City and the league shows it are just a level above Chelsea, but it's a very small level. So you're right in saying. Ideally, the draw would have been let them two knock each other out. And one of them get knocked out in the semis. We'll hopefully take care of Crystal Palace, and we'll pick up the remains of whoever you've got left in the final. Liverpool are going to have to run the gauntlet, and we're more than capable of doing so. And ultimately, my thinking is if you're the best team in the competition, then you'll win it. Mm-hmm. And we've just got to go. It is more difficult, and it's more difficult where the semi-finals is placed within the calendar as well.
I think it's hard. It's hard because again, this is where we're at. We haven't had to experience this now for. It's been 2 years coming. Well, this is the 3rd year since we really had to go up against Manchester City because we pissed the league when we won it. Then we absolutely catastrophically collapsed in the league, and now we'll go through some ends, and it looked a little bit like it had all fallen apart in January. But now we're here, and now we're not just here in the league. Again, if we're going to win, it's very likely that we'll meet City if we get to the final. Very likely you'd meet City in the Champions League final as well. So it is hard, and the thing that gets me is. I think back to the seasons when Liverpool have been successful in cup competitions and who you've beaten to get to the final and to win it. Winning the Champions League in 2005, a lot's made of that AC Milan side. They were amazing. They had miles better players than us across the board. But we beat Chelsea on the way there, who were like that was the title winning Chelsea side. They'd already beaten us in the League Cup final that season. We beat champions-elect Juventus at that point, as well. And then you think about it, 2001, we beat like Roma and Barcelona and all that kind of stuff. You beat these brilliant teams. But the thing is, this time around, I think we're better than everything else in every other league. But City are this. They're just like the final boss, aren't they? It's like that mid-match fight yourself, fight your inner demons, and that's what Man City are, and that's why I don't know. It is just pure shithousery. I'd love an easy route to a final and know that you've got. I'd love Wigan in the final or something. You know what I mean? Great.
The flip side is right. We've had pretty good luck in the Champions League draw.
Yeah, apart from the group stage where we were in the hardest.
Yeah, but even then, the way that turned out, they weren't all that really. Inter were actually the hardest team we played, weren't they? But like getting Benfica and that, it's hard. I mean, everyone always says, "Oh, Man City's cup draws and they go far because the draws they do," but they also go far because they're really good.
Yeah.
It does help and it will help. But listen, we've got to the FA Cup semi-final, having played, a relatively straightforward fixture list. Really, we've got, what was it, Shrewsbury and Cardiff, and then you go and beat Norwich again, and it sounds. And then
we had a tough
Forest.
draw in the Carabao, if you think about it. Like, how many Premier League teams did we play in the Carabao?
It was
Norwich, Leicester, Arsenal, Chelsea.
And
it's glossed over.
And that's the flip side. That's the flip side. Is that it can be a bit luck of the draw, and it's unlikely that you're going to get the easiest draw every single time.
And moreover, to on Chris's point there, we won that competition and still played good teams on it. So leading into the whole point. It's a bit metaphysical, but there's a point at the end of the season, months from now, and it's not long away at all. There's a lot of football to be played and a lot up for grabs, but it's going to be. I'm amazed that we're almost there.
You know the flip side
already. It's mad that it's mad that it's 2 years. 2 years since the league shut down because of COVID. That's insane.
Can I ask you a question? Like, do you think City, having been in this position a lot recently, because they've constantly been in semi-finals and finals, we haven't. When we've won, obviously the league, we pissed it, but we got knocked out of everything pretty handily. When we were going for the league and the Champions League, there was 2 competitions. We've never been here with 3 really. It's been a long time since and it's the big 3 as well. I wonder I wonder how that plays, because City should have an advantage. The flip side is they've never done it. They know in their head, they know how hard it is. The closest they got was last year, wasn't it? And they got beaten at a semi-final and a final, and then walked away with 2. I wonder if there's a psychological thing there for us of we're not used to this, so it's like we're free of it, or does City have the experience?
I think you're looking around the dressing room, if you're in Liverpool's dressing room, going, this is the best squad we've ever had.
Yeah.
This is why we've all been brought together. Yeah. This is exactly what we need to. We need to go and do what that team that we've been fighting tooth and nail with for 4 years couldn't. That would drive me on.
Yeah. And also to be fair, like this season, Liverpool and Chelsea have already won trophies. Chelsea have won 2. Yeah, and you know, I don't even know where the Charity Shield went this year. I wasn't paying attention, but the
Leicester won.
If you had to guess,
didn't Leicester win it?
I don't know. I've no idea.
Literally, that is genuine news to me.
It really backs up your point, though.
Yeah,
if they did, because City have won nothing.
No, yeah. But that's the thing about it is, City's recent experience is losing the Champions League final. And now, again, I've said this all along.
And the Charity Shield, apparently.
Well, yeah, apparently so. Maybe not. No way, no.
That might be a lie.
No way, no.
Like, we better check that.
No way, no. I mean, either way, it doesn't matter because it's the Charity Shield. It's not the same. But the point is that I think City will win the Champions League this season. I think it's bound to happen eventually, and having gone to the final and not done it, but to the point.
I was right.
There you go, well done.
Iheanacho penalty.
Well done, Leicester.
In the 89th minute.
Congratulations, Leicester. Well done for winning the Charity Shield, apparently.
21-22.
Yeah. But yeah.
7 months later, you've got a hearty well done.
Woo! You guys did it! Well, best in England!
Leicestershire.
Yeah. And that's the thing that might play into our favour and Chelsea, because they always talk about this, like the great teams, they win the League Cup and it's the stepping stone on for something. I just hope that this is that, and there's going to be a pressure situation in a big game at some point in the next 2 months. And the fact that Liverpool have got recent experience, because I'm not sure if we didn't have that game, because we're a long way removed from an important game of football if we don't get in that league. Well, just in general, really, you know, like it's 2 seasons, and even they're going back to the league. We won the league. It's such a canter. You're going back to the Club World Cup. Is the last time Liverpool were in December 2019? Is that right?
Yeah, December.
No, 2019, yeah. So like that's a long while since we've been in a decisive game where you need someone to crop up with a moment of brilliance or whatever to win it. So yeah, just in terms of looking ahead to that, obviously international break now, isn't it nice, touch wood, that Trent's injury has been revealed as not very serious.
Yeah.
Lucky
There's
that,
a
isn't
lot
it?
of lads missing international duty this time around, isn't
Andy
there?
Robbo's got COVID as well. That's a mad one, like the Robbo stuff. And I think a lot's made of the conspiracy theory side of things, because you do have to have this stuff corroborated. You can't just make up stuff,
because the international doctors can,
because they're pricks over it. Like, I mean, and the reason you've got that like ruling where you can ban people from playing for club football.
I love the idea, though. Come on, Paul. Really, international club doctors are going to fly out to see someone with COVID and fly back to the squad.
I've got a feeling.
Come on, really? There's no fucking way they're going anywhere near anyone with COVID. It is the get out of jail free card on international football now. Why are you flying into the country, sir, to see a fella with COVID, and I'll be back on the plane
Liverpool
No.
images of positive lateral flow tests and just WhatsApped it to the Scotland team.
Just do us a favour, Robbo, just go and follow Thiago around for the next week. Just go and get... He's obviously a COVID magnet, that fella.
Lad, there's a lad coughing over there. Robbo, go!
Press!
Run over there, quickly!
Press them like Edison in that game at Anfield.
Robbo chasing COVID down the left wing, just running after COVID. Get me COVID! I don't want to play Poland.
Yeah, Klopp's like, it finally got him. No. He finally got it. Yeah.
He's there fucking going into bins for fucking tissues.
In all seriousness, I hope he's fine. But I mean, again, the Trent stuff, it did just set everyone's spidey sense tingling a bit. Like Trent, who showed no signs of this whatsoever, and Klopp, in the last possible moment, his last public broadcast, effectively before going dark for the international break, reveals that Trent has got a hamstring injury.
And then since it's been, Liverpool expect him to be back in time for April and potentially Watford maybe the game after.
But it feeds
in the NFL, they call it the Friday night news dump, when all the journalists have fucking finished, 5 o'clock, drop it, and it just goes for the weekend and no one's there to pick up the pieces. Yeah. That's what Klopp's done.
Because there's clearly a lot
Dave
of thought.
Pearce isn't in the country. No chance. He's gone. Like, as soon as that fucking 5 o'clock hits, see you later.
There's a lot of thought gone into it, isn't there? Because clearly the fact that Salah and Mane were just told to have the weekend off completely. Completely.
Salah
because
felt his foot, apparently.
Yeah.
I can feel my foot, look.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. There we go.
I felt your foot on my shin.
Yeah, there you go. But the point is that they know there's the two mega intense games of football. It's Friday's the first leg of that game, so they want to make sure that they're capable. It's like, we know you're gonna want to give everything for your side, so go and do that, and we'll give you the best possible situation for that. So yeah,
and also that's it. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours with the international teams with those players as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You might see the benefits of that down the line somewhere.
So when Egypt or Senegal are playing in pointless friendlies during the World Cup next winter.
This winter.
Well, it's the next winter.
Both are true.
Yeah. Right, we are going to be talking through a couple of the bigger stories tangential to Liverpool Football Club, including City topping the Deloitte Money League, and Frank Lampard deciding that the best way to brush off being handily defeated in the FA Cup is to basically slag off all the goals that were scored and call them a bit crap.
Next time, can someone give him like rating cards, like just numbers out of 10? I'd love to see that.
Yeah, no, not for me. Anyway, right, Sal, we got a break. It is, we've got Ecru crazy across our social platforms because Jay Pearson's incredible documentary about Liverpool's Ecru kit, its origins and how it came to be a cultural icon in the city of Liverpool, is streaming right now on Redmen Plus. Here's the trailer.
On a personal note, as a born and bred Liverpudlian, this is a particularly proud moment.
The Ecru, which is French for unfinished, unbleached linen.
But at the time, it was quite extraordinarily unique. It was a different colour, and it's a number of different buyers would look at us as if we were crazy.
It was definitely an exciting time. It was just because it was fresh and new. Nobody had experienced it before. Nobody had seen this type of colour.
At that time, no one was sort of looking to be that radical with a colour.
For a long while, I don't even know what's going to surpass this. That was the proudest moment I'd had in my career.
And it's mad to think that word has become synonymous with a shirt. It's become synonymous with Liverpool. You've never heard the word Ecru used before or since in anything other than a Liverpool context.
Liverpool was the height of fashion because of the European trips, through the 70s and 80s.
I had to explain to Boston headquarters, this is a team we need.
And we're going in to see Roy Evans and showing him the kit and things like that. And I said, it's Ecru, and he went, there's no such thing as Ecru. It's cream.
So yeah, Patrick Berger and this new shirt was very much a perfect storm.
We knew he had some quality, but we didn't realise how good looking he was until he turned up. Yeah, even Jamie was rattled.
And it was a fantastic experience. And I like this shit. I like the colour. There were much worse colours. after that. So it's a great shirt. I like it.
The perspective of not just what you wear on a Saturday to go to the match, but in the pub on a Tuesday night with your jeans and trainers.
The story behind the kit, how it was made, is fantastic as well. The way it set a trend of how football kits should be made.
Hey, yes. So, yeah, that is streaming right now on Redmen Plus. Go to redmenplus.com, get involved. There's a whole host of amazing documentaries, features and interviews over there, as well as bonus Redmen content and extra shows, including Podcast Extra. We're going to take in a bunch of your weirder and wilder ones, the kind of stuff that we actually could not put on YouTube or on public podcast.
We could, but we wouldn't be around for much.
Yeah, it'd be the last one. It'd be the last one we ever did. We did one last week. It was good fun, so we're bringing it back again for this week. So yeah, head over to redmenplus.com, sign up, and you get those shows each and every week, and loads of extra stuff as well. Boss,
I think we might.
You did, yes, you did.
That was a royal way. Thanks, Si.
You two casually strolled off for a wee while flustered Si came in and sorted it as quick as he possibly could, and he's done a stellar job. Right, Nick Harris at Sporting Intel tweeted this week off the back of a Deloitte article, hallelujah! It is truly a miracle that Man City are top of Deloitte's Global Rich List 2022, brackets highest revenue football club in the world 2021. A commercial department like, check scripts, no other. Effectively, yes, he said, and he goes on to say, massive props to the Man City commercial team who derive 56+% of their global commercial income from Etihad, Visit Abu Dhabi, Nexon, brackets partners with UAE, SWF, Expo 2020 Dubai, Wega, Kof, Socios Kof, Emirates Palace. How do they do it? Incredible. When you have won the Champions League as often as Man City have done since Sheikh Mansour took over, which is one time less than he's attended a game in 14 years, or M0, then it all makes sense. No? Yeah, I mean, I remember, in fact, I don't know if you remember this as well, because we interviewed Ian Ayre about 10 years ago. When he was CEO of Liverpool, and he remarked to us a bit offhand about the Man City thing, and his example was, it's easier for Man City where effectively their owners can come over and decide to pay 50 million quid for a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And that's how they get around all this stuff. And that's the thing about all this, is that, I mean, again, it's everyone knows what's going on. It's the brazenness, I think, which happened. And I wonder whether, like, Brexit and the way the government have been handling just life in general for the last couple of years, and Trump and everyone seems to have emboldened everyone to just be like, we'll just be a bit more evil in public because no one's going to do anything about it. And I feel it's like City finally, the mask of, well, we've look at what Liverpool have spent. We've never spent £75 million on one centre-half when they spent 50 on 5. Buying Grealish was the mask slipping because I just don't feel like they care anymore. It's like, whatever, we're just going to do what we want to do. If we can get away with the FFP stuff, then
they get away with the FFP stuff, and that's it. It's emboldened them, hasn't it? Exactly what you're saying there. Manchester City gained money, Real Madrid lost money, Bayern Munich lost money, Barcelona lost money, Manchester United lost money, Paris Saint-Germain gained money. Liverpool lost money, Chelsea gained money. Now, to be fair to Chelsea, I don't think they're quite as bad as the others in terms of how much money gets put into the club, but they also won the Champions League, so I can see why a 30 million uptick would have happened, because that, you know, you can probably walk away with 120 million, whereas the previous year they might have walked away with 70 or 80 million, so there's that all explained. So it's just essentially PSG and Manchester City that have managed to somehow make money when every other club in the world pretty much that's good at making money lost.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. It's just we've come to the situation where Real Madrid and Barcelona and Manchester United, and to some extent you can see Bayern Munich up there as well, have been money-making machines because they've been at the top of football for 20 years, 30 years, whatever. So their commercial revenues are huge. And that's why those badges means that you can go anywhere in the world and see that. And so when you know that that happens, it all fits and it makes sense. Manchester City are not that. They're not a globally recognised brand or football club. And so it's just
every airport has Manchester United, Real Madrid and Barcelona kits in them. Every JD up and down the country has them. You might see Liverpool occasionally in those places. You never see Manchester City in any of those places.
Yeah. And listen, it wasn't that recently when it probably was very recent when they had the Premier League vote, about self-sponsoring almost. It was pretty much just it was Newcastle, well, the Saudis, and the only two teams who didn't vote for it happened to be Manchester City and Newcastle. Listen, we all know what's going on with either Manchester City have got the best commercial department in the world where they can wrangle out that extra bit of dough, or it's not illegal what they're doing because they got found that they weren't doing nothing technically wrong. It's just literally you can say to you, it's like me saying to Chris, do us a favour, Chris, sponsor me for this t-shirt that I'm wearing and pay me 5 times the amount so we can both clean it through the books. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. Yeah. And it's brazen, but they're allowed to do it, so they're doing what they're allowed to do. Listen, if John Henry comes along and gets us to the Boston Red Sox suddenly sponsor Liverpool's away kit with the Boston logo on it, and he pays 5 times the amount of price, eyebrows would be raised, and that's all it is. It's that we all know what's happening. They know. What I find really funny is there's a section, and I'm not blaming all Manchester City fans because different, who just blindly ignore it. Well, we've been brilliant. We got the Champions League final. We won loads of trophies. Yeah, you have. It's the commit. No one's arguing that. Just own it. Just own it. Everyone knows. Don't beat around the bush. There are, it is what it is. We all know what's going on. There is no way that your stadium sponsorship it should be worth more than, I don't know, what Spotify might pay for the new camp soon, but it might be that ends up being the case or similar, or what the Allianz Arena is called the Allianz Arena for a reason. The Etihad is called the Etihad because, no one's when he's paying an extortionate amount to have you on the kits and the training ground sponsored by them.
This is a knock-on impact of the way that, because of FFP and
it's a workaround.
Exactly, and because I've heard this argument, because I remember the Toffee boys making this argument prior to them being so lost in the world of Everton being in relegation form and all that, of an owner should be able to spend whatever he wants, provided that debt's not heaped upon the football club. And it's funny because, we wouldn't necessarily want that as Liverpool fans, and again, let's be upfront on this, because Liverpool's owners don't have the same financial clout, and if you unlock that,
if it's made into a pissing contest,
you make it back into the world of when Abramovich came in and he just goes, yeah, whatever.
Jack Walker prior to that.
Yeah, exactly. Where you can, and some people might argue, well, who's asked? And there's. The problem with rules is that there's when you have to put rules in place, there's people who will just find edges to those rules and find blurred lines within that and operate in those, and then they go, well, I'm still within those rules. So that's capitalism, isn't it?
The thing is, we think about FFP and Everton fans do and City fans do as about the top clubs. It's not about the top clubs. It's about the other ones lower down the leagues and keeping them in it. And it's about sporting integrity across the board and giving everyone an opportunity to be good. And that's the thing. And
it's stopping shortcuts.
Yeah, and it is, and it's stopping. Hopefully, it's supposed to stop teams going out of debt. Going into debt, and going out of business. And so unfortunately, it's very, very difficult to have a one-size-fits-all solution to a club that may make $500,000 over the course of the year to a club that makes 644 million. This is what they came up with. It's not quite fit for purpose, but it's also better than the alternative, which is to lose loads of football clubs, which have historically been great in the communities in and around England and all these other places around Europe.
Yeah, it's just one of them things. As I say, the thing that gets me is that it's the problem with I don't want to heap this on Man City fans, because your football club, and I know we think that we hold ourselves to a higher moral standard, but we'll never know, and hopefully we'll never have to know. We'll never have to have that tested, because hopefully Liverpool won't be in a situation where they're owned by an abhorrent regime or whatever. And again, I'm not specifically naming anyone when I say that, by the way. And hopefully we'll have it's our football club or nothing tested in those kind of regards, because let's be honest, as much as we see this all the time, there's people from all different walks of life who support Liverpool, from all different kind of social and economic backgrounds, political backgrounds and all that kind of stuff, and you can actually love Liverpool just as much whether you vote, no matter which way you put your cross in the box every 4 years or whatever. And my thing with the City fans is they're a little bit, because there isn't loads of them, but there's still enough of them who went through all that strife of being down in the lower leagues and coming back up again, and the honour that comes with that they haven't seen that it's not the same football club anymore. It's the old Only Fools and Horses Tigger and his broom, and how he swapped literally every single part of it, and to the point where it's not the same thing anymore. But if you're there and you pull your broom out of the cupboard and you go there every single day, you would feel like it was exactly the same one. So they haven't, and they think there's that the honour and dignity overrides all that other stuff. But there's tons of people who've just joined Man City as fans in the last 10 years.
Literally tons.
Yeah, and are just going, and
dozens.
Baker's dozen of people, and that's I don't know.
You know what the issue is, right? The issue is there's a rule, and Manchester City have exploited that rule, and they've tried. This is the issue now: is that can you close that off? Can you prevent it happening? The Premier League are looking like they were trying to do that, and the self-sponsoring thing, which is fine, but again, it's a bit like FFP in the first place. What FFP did do when it first came in was ring fence the rich clubs, because no one else had the chance to catch up. Because they were, and if the door closes now on this, City have already done it. Jack Grealish plays for Manchester City. That isn't going to change now. Regardless, like
the horses have bolted.
Basically, Everton are in a mess financially in terms of what they could sign this year because they had to comply to FFP. Now it was a competitive disadvantage to Everton because there was a rule that they were no longer allowed to get paid because they got to the point. City have got to that point and found a way around it. It just happened to be that Visit Abu Dhabi might just automatically want to be the shirt.
Well, again, Everton tried that, didn't they? Because they had, obviously, with Usmanov, they've had sponsoring the training ground. They've done their own version of it, but in a much smaller scale. Yeah. And that's what it does is it opens up to that, and you're seeing it with PSG and Qatar. Now, how many of entities can follow suit with that? But it'll be the same thing. If you're Man City or whatever, it's just going to open up. If you free those regulations, there'll just be 5 football clubs. There'll only be so many that'll happen to, because it won't be worth it happening to more than 5 or 6, because there's only so many places that actually you can be asked to do it with. And so the landscape will change, but it will just, you'll have a same situation. It's just who are those lucky 5 or lucky in
It's all about timing as well, anyway, isn't it? You think about Liverpool having most of their success in the 70s and 80s. If that had changed to the 90s and noughties, we'd probably have a league that looks very, very similar to France or Germany right now. Because of the size of Liverpool Football Club and what their commercial teams would have been able to do in that time to grow it. We've seen how Manchester United have been at the top and will continue to be at the top just for being successful in the 90s and noughties. Yeah. They're never going to go anywhere. It was timing of your success and the money coming into the league and the television deals and globalisation and all that type of stuff. Yeah, right. It's never going to change.
The only thing is whether City, how far does City have to grow to get to the point where they can be a Man United? Because Man United can be owned by anyone now because the brand is so big and they're doing the legitimate sponsorship things. And that's the interesting thing about Man City, is that they are still being propped up. They're being pushed into this bracket, being held in this bracket by their ownership group. And if that ownership group goes away and it's not replaced by someone who does a similar type of thing, where would they fall down to? And they would probably fall down to being a Premier League level, a good Premier League level football team. Yeah. In
terms of commercial value, and I think it must be disheartening if you're Liverpool, because I think FSG pros and cons, we don't need to go down that debate. One thing they're really good at is the commercial side of things. Like the access, the AXA training ground, the Standard Chartered deal, the deal with Nike. I get press releases every 2 or 3 weeks to my email address of Liverpool have signed a new commercial partner doing drinks and food and data and everything, and they're really good at it. That must be quite disheartening to be that good. And then you just see someone else going, all right, well, I'll just phone my cousin who runs that, and we'll just go top of this league again.
Well, that's it. You're fighting against bottomless resources, and that's the thing about it. And you're right. And that's, again, the rules are the rules. If you're allowed to get away with it, you're allowed to get away with it. But it's just that thing of, and it boils down to me, and it's hard because we're so lost in the Liverpool side of things, we're so biased towards it, that I'm not truly sure that this is anything more than just our opinion on it. But it does feel like, and you talk about honour amongst billionaires, but I just like the way we're doing it more, and that's why there's a satisfaction that will come if Liverpool overcome this again, but it does feel exhausting. And we're just watching.
It's like fighting Ivan Drago, isn't it? You can beat him,
every fucking day.
But the odds are stacked against you.
Eventually, you ringing every single dropout. There's nothing we're doing that Man City can't do, because it's just smartness and being canny and being having the right types of people. Eventually, money will win out. I
have a flip side. Liverpool are better because of them. Liverpool have to be better because of them.
Yeah.
Liverpool have been better on the pitch because of them.
Yep.
We've both drove each other on, and the commercial departments and everything else, and all the football people that we've had, I believe, are better than their football people, because they've had to be to get anywhere near them, because that's just the way it is.
They're the bar and we're trying to reach it.
And just like it drives you on when they've got the Premier League trophy and you're a player, it drives you on behind the scenes to go and unearth that gem.
It's that thing. Liverpool, it's funny, Liverpool's pre-existing history and brand recognition and all that kind of stuff helps us in that regard, because I don't think there's many other football clubs who could go toe-to-toe with that, because
it should be United, shouldn't it? It should be United.
Exactly, completely. And that's exactly it. So you're right.
But United became, in football terms, obese because of it. You know what I mean? They just stopped trying because they had all that money coming in. Man City and the people that they've got could become exactly the same. Liverpool are running trim. Liverpool have always had to do it like that, fighting for every last fucking scrap. They're hungry and they want to do it.
Paul, sorry, just to move on, it's back to a football sense. Because it's us chasing them, everyone's still pro City.
Yeah.
And I do feel like it should, again, and I speak to some neutrals, obviously we do the Around the League show, but a lot of them are turning around and going now, I'd actually quite like Liverpool to win this league, because I think people are starting to get wise with City. For a long time, it was City were the new kids on the block, and who would they stop? Mate, I cheered Aguero's goal like no other, because it stopped Man United winning. I didn't give a fuck where that money came from then. But now, because we're in it, I'm starting to get closer. And I wouldn't have other people the same as well.
It's a fancy, and it's like Man City were the team I went on Pro Evo for about 4 or 5 seasons, because Liverpool weren't good enough to go. You couldn't play online with Liverpool because they were crap. So you go City because you've got no feelings towards them. You can't go Chelsea, you can't go Man United. You're not going to go Arsenal because they were crap as well by that point. But so you'll go City, because and you like, they were likeable, and they like the players and all this and that. You're right, and as I was saying, my point earlier, the mask has slipped a bit. Like Tottenham fans now hate Man City because they've tried to steal. You know what I mean? Like we've got to try to prize away their asset for ridiculous money. The Villa fans have got the same sort of feeling about them. England fans have started to say, and it's sometimes it's the most simplistic of things, because we've seen it. Football mood is dictated almost entirely by transfers, because everyone thought Liverpool was shite for 3 seasons because they didn't spend lots of money on transfers and other clubs did. Now that City are starting to operate like that, they're starting to operate more Bond villainish. It's easier for your average football fan to exactly. It's overt, and it's more like easy to hate.
I say in recent, I spoke to Nicky from West Ham TV, loads of them guys. Watford podcast we had a load on Brighton, and they've all said similar things. It's like, I wouldn't mind Liverpool winning it, because I think everyone's starting to see. It was funny because everyone dislikes us because we're the team to dislike. It's easy to, we're easy to dislike for a lot of different reasons. Culturally, our fan base on Twitter can be a bit weird at times as well. There's a big media presence around us which people resent. So I think at first everyone saw City as the rage against the machine, but now they are the machine, and we're almost raging back against them. And I started to feel like, although there's plenty of people who still hate us, and we'll quite gladly just watch Man United slip away and watch Man City win all the time, because you can easily explain that, he got the most money, it's fine. I think that we are starting to get to a section now where there are other fans of other clubs going, actually, Liverpool, they are brazen times and they are a bit annoying and stuff, but what they are doing is they are doing it the right way, as right as you can be with billionaires, I understand that. I just wonder, is there a time where City become hated? Like Man United were hated in the 90s.
Yeah.
Are we getting towards City being
my worry is, what I was going to say, is that if they get to a point, and I said this all along, if they win that European Cup, that puts them puts them in a bracket. It unlocks a bunch of new fans for them and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Exactly. And then if they get to enough trophies, all of a sudden, it's like Chelsea. Like people go now, you can't sing You've Got No History song because they've been there long enough and they've won enough. They're a big proper football team now. Doesn't matter that it's only been a 20-year project, slightly less than that. They now at a point where they'll go on.
Abramovich will leave and they'll be bigger.
Their reputation's enough that even if they had a mediocre owner, people are still going to come to Chelsea because it's Chelsea and there's a lot around it. Yeah. My worry is that people won't cotton onto it until it's too late, and City are so established. They've got a bunch of history. They've got loads of trophies. They've got loads of historic players all of a sudden, and then they're a proper entity. Yeah. And then you kind of go, like we are with Chelsea now, going, oh, well, you kind of can't begrudge them it because they've been successful. But I guess we'll see. Anyway, look, that was thoroughly miserable. Let's talk about how shit Everton are. Right, yeah. Frank Lampard decided that the best possible way to deflect from them being comfortably knocked out of the FA Cup at Crystal Palace was to rank the goals in the most childish way possible. We've actually got... Well, we're going to play the clip because it's just for context.
Tough afternoon. We made it tough. Take responsibility. Players take responsibility. Quarter final of a cup. Start really well. Control the game. Allow a goal from a corner. Allow another average goal. Then a fluke goal. Then another average goal. Take responsibility. We come here to try and get into the semi-final, and we gave Palace a pass to get into the semi-final without having to do much. Palace didn't play that well.
We are shit.
Fluke goal, average goal. That was just a stupid, silly, smelly goal. It was a smelly goal. That stank.
If you take away the 4 goals you scored against no goals, you weigh that. You wasn't actually that good.
Palace didn't play well.
What did the Romans do for us? What did the Romans do for us? That's so funny. That's on Everton's own Twitter. Everton allowed that to go out.
Yeah.
That's what's fascinating on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, he's officially a blue.
Yeah,
that proves it now.
Just incredible
levels. Well, to be fair, he didn't blame us for anything in that, so he's not quite been indoctrinated fully yet, but he's well on his way.
He didn't do the wall pushing arms and then get off, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's honestly, it like wow. Good managers have done this since time immemorial. Of your post-match interview is your opportunity to speak directly to the fans and basically
on the
tell them
media, by the way.
Yeah, and tell them what you want them to believe. Hodgson's a master of it. Allardyce is a master of it. You can get yourself more time in the job by just basically, because you've got, it's like people who read like red top media, there's a good way to just win a percentage of your target demographic by having headlines out there, because people will just read the headlines and they'll believe that, because they just take that as gospel. And Frank Lampard clearly understands that, but I mean, he just thought it was a fluke goals.
It's like
fine then, Frank. Well, you're still in the cup, mate, because it was only a fluke.
It's imagine like I got knocked down 4 times in that box. Lucky punch.
Yeah.
Lucky punch. Didn't see that one. Caught me on the nose.
Yeah. I was blinking.
Yeah. Sneeze just as you threw that one. Lucky punch. Yeah. You're not that bigger than me. You're not that hard. You're asleep on the floor. It's
genuinely.
So funny. It was a very. I used to prefer this other ones. Is laughing. Well, oh yeah, it was good. It was a little mood change. Yeah. This one, there was no mood change. It was aggressive towards. You got beat 4-0 and called the other team shit. How shit are you? You got beat 4-0 by a shit team. Then that's even worse.
If they weren't good, how bad did you have to be? And the thing is, I think that's what he's trying to say, sort of.
We're shit.
Yeah, he can't come out and slaughter them yet, because he's just in a weird position. And the problem is, it's like a good example of this. So Gerrard has been quite bullish as Villa manager.
Rather bullish to Des Kelly at the weekend, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Vince did a good bit on the Around the League show this week on Plus. Go and check that one out. But even in the early days, he was quite
brazen.
If you want to be, we need people to step up. He slaughtered the players without being totally too on the nose, but it was quite clear. It was like, I'm having to build stuff. There's a lot of players here that aren't really good enough and aren't really at the standard that we need.
I need investments, but I know there's players you need to step up. I need money and stuff.
But that's fine, because Villa are sound. Villa are just going to finish mid-table and maybe lower mid-table, and that's cool, because he's got enough there that you can build from that and do more in the summer. Lampard's got to keep them in the division, so he actually can't come out and say these are all shit, because what's he going to do? Like, what?
It's okay. The Everton fans are doing it for him.
No, that's their all of their problem. They're circling the drain, and they're fucking pressing the flush. They're putting faster and faster. You know what I mean? And like they're sticking their fingers in and whirling it round, getting shit everywhere, while they're doing it. Like, it's just.
What a very strange analogy.
No, I know, I went with it. Why? Yeah, but they're doing everything.
Is this something you do?
No, but it's Everton, innit? They are so bad that they're taking extreme. They're going to extreme measures. I can't believe
you made that up on the spot. That's come from somewhere.
No, genuinely. But that's where they're at. Is that they are?
They're sticking their fingers.
I've never seen. It's like the worst, most catastrophic things happening.
He's chopping it up with his finger.
Yeah. But
get down the plug hole.
But to illustrate,
why is it in the plug hole? Why is it in the sink?
We're not letting this go, Paul. Where's this come from? Yeah. With a deep, dark point of your mouth.
It's to illustrate the point of the situation is so bad. The whole thing. The fans are at the whole thing.
So the fans are the fingers on the team of the poo.
Go with it.
Yeah, okay.
It'll level itself out to the point of Everton are going down,
yes,
and they are they're doing everything in their power to the point of lunacy of exacerbating that to make it go down even quicker. It's like I'll come and make this worse. I'll fucking stick my hand in there as well. Like,
grab the potato masher, lads.
No, honestly, fucking genuinely, it's fucking mental. Like, I mean, it's
spit on it.
Yeah, because that's like, what would you do? How would you make a tear?
Get the stick blender in, please.
Yeah, honestly.
What should he have said though? I can't say that. Maybe it is. It wasn't good enough, but we were good on Thursday. We're inconsistent. We need to learn. That's the basics of it.
It's the mixed messages, because he's saying they were all lucky goals, but he's also, and then he's saying they weren't that good. But as your point, he's also saying, well, we couldn't.
What he needs to say is, they didn't have to play well to beat us, and that's a concern.
Yeah, he does, and the point is,
because we were crap,
he hasn't got a fucking clue what to say, because he's not an experienced football manager, and he's never experienced this as a player, so he's got no life experience to draw upon. He's just used to being good, and things being good and working out for him because he's Frank Lampard.
It's that Sean Dyche, he goes, bad day at the office, we'll learn from it, we'll go again, and he'll just dismiss that it's happened, because he knows, I know every now and then we're going to get battered because we're quite crap.
He's like,
Hodgson's the same, we'll learn again, and we'll go, but that's what Lampard hasn't got. He hasn't got the experience of the relegation battle.
He's like a upper middle class kid who's had everything, and all of a sudden they face life, and it's everything's not being handed to them. And now I am speaking from fucking experience. Everything's not handed to them on the platter, and they can't work it out because it's always worked, and they've never had to understand what goes into getting you to that situation. And the fact is, he can't. What can he say? What does he say there? We need more fight, we need more endeavour. Maybe that's the stock answer he needs to give. The point is that, and again, he doesn't know what to say. The Everton fans don't know how to conduct themselves around it, because they are going to be responsible for taking them down as much as anything, or as a contributing
Burnley
factor.
fans know how to be in a relegation battle. Watford fans know how to be in a relegation
Everton
battle.
fans have just been beaten down for 20 years and told they're the worst, so it's self-fulfilling prophecy time. They genuinely believe that all the worst things can happen to them, because every time they think the worst has happened, something even worse happens. We have it go like the most Everton thing ever. Again, we talk about it. Getting beaten with a B team in the league, and then Liverpool put a C team of children and Pedro Quirivella in the FA Cup and knocked them out, and Divock Origi and all these things. We keep redefining the most hilarious ways to ruin their day, but that becomes a point where they'll drag them down because they think, well, they've got no hope left, and they've got no fight, and there's no reason to fight, and they don't want to fight because they don't want to get themselves up for the fight in case it goes wrong, and they look stupid.
So what's the end game here from Everton's Twitter account? Are they thinking this will rally the fans? Because it's one thing recording it and saying it, but it's a completely different thing putting it out from your official Twitter.
They haven't got a fucking clue they're just morons. It's the manager. It's just the manager's post-match interview, and I don't think they've thought about it for a single second. And maybe they have a glimmer of hope of going, the manager's saying it's okay because they were free goals.
He cares. Maybe they'll like that. I don't know.
But ultimately, it's probably just because tick box. It's the manager's post-match interview. We can't tell the manager what to say. We can't go, that was a shit. Frank, no.
Did anyone check the comments of that and see what the reaction was from the Everton?
I saw Paddy Power did that fan denials on it, and it's hilarious. He's like, I think the best one I thought was like, it was really basic one was, that's like I say, that's the thing I say when I lose on FIFA. When you get beat online 4-0, lucky goal, fluke goal, offside, bad goal. Didn't even count. 0-0. I'm still better than you. Yeah, that's kind of where we've been at with it.
Here we go.
Frank couldn't rage quit that one though.
I got a good idea. The 5-year plan, friends of ours, Crystal Palace podcast, put the old like guy putting the clown makeup on, meme on, start really well, control the game, allow a goal from a corner, allow another average goal, and a fluke goal, another average goal, take full responsibility. Brilliant. Absolutely. It's just amazing. It's just, and again, it's just brilliant. Stupid. Peter Lee there, I thought he was deflecting. Playing with the first half of players we had was reckless. Ha ha ha. Yeah, he's a shit manager. He's not good enough to be there. He's not good enough to be their manager, ultimately. He's not good enough to get them. There's a reason why all these clubs hire these relegation specialists in this situation.
They're hard to
You don't hire progressive attacking managers in these situations. You don't. With the exception being maybe Eddie Howe, but
they spent their way out a bit as well.
But also Eddie Howe is an incredibly experienced football manager.
He's been in relegation battles before.
Yeah,
he lost a few. Lost one,
and he knows, and he's a good coach, and he's an experienced coach. He's got years of Premier League experience, so he can call up. And he's been a footballer at an average level as well, and been up and down those kind of things.
We just need Dicey or Hodgie to sort the shit out.
But
because Everton might stay up here because of how bad the teams below them are. But that's the saving grace.
They fucked it with the Allardyce thing by giving Allardyce the job mid-season, so they blew that, and now they wouldn't dare give an Allardyce the job because the fan base would absolutely riot because of how disastrous that ultimately ended up being.
Was the Porto guy, wasn't it, when they were spray painting on the side of the building? The guy was literally on the telly saying why you should get the job. So that was very Everton as well.
Just the shite, and I worry for them in as much as I can worry for them because I can't see.
I worry that they're going to stay up. That's my worry.
Yeah, the only thing that's going to let them off is just
Burnley and Watford
being horrendous, and that's the only thing that's going to save them this season. Right, okay, let's wrap up. Any other business I think you want to bring to the table? What you've been doing, what you've been watching, what you got coming up this week?
I've got a stat show coming up today with John Harrison, who's a goalkeeper analyst. So we're doing I've put the agenda together yesterday, and he sent me some stuff over this morning. My word, it is in depth. It's crazy. It's so good. So hopefully we'll have a good little segment of that to be able to put up on socials and stuff. I'm really looking forward to that one. That one's 3:30 today. In other news, and I think I told you this at the weekend. I went away at the weekend with the family. Went on a big walk, and did I tell you that Lyra got stuck in some mud and a bit of a bog?
Okay.
So we were on a bit of a walk. We were about an hour away from where we were staying. We'd gone on a big long walk and stuff, and she got stuck in a bog. So I'm like, right, I've got to go in here and get her out. So I run in.
Did you have a song playing in your head, like I need a hero?
Banana Man, but. So I run over and I'm like, oh shit, I've not thought this through. I just ran over to try and get her before she fell. So I grab her and sort of throw her out the way, but as that's happening, my foot is going to Australia. It is deep.
You're in the bog now.
So I'm in walking shoes, not walking boots or wellies or anything like that. So I push off with my right foot, and my shoe is gone. I can't see. I can see the heel of it. And then I have to step through the bog to be able to get back to everything. So then I have to send my wife in after my shoe. And my foot is covered in fucking mud and water and all that type of stuff at this point. So Kat nearly flies into it as she's trying to pull my shoe out. You know, that whole back thing and that. She manages to keep it up. And I'm now left with this dilemma. We're an hour away from where we are. We've had a big walk so far. We're about half an hour away from the sort of midpoint of the walk where we'll turn around. So I've got at least an hour and a half walking. I've got one really muddy, wet sock and a shoe that's covered in fucking mud. What do we do? Do we take the sock off and risk blisters with a wet foot inside a muddy shoe, or do I keep the sock on? So I kept the sock on and put this muddy, wet shoe into the walking shoe to carry on. We then have to go...
trench foot.
Honestly, mate. It was terrible. It was like, I can't describe on this show. If it was the other show, I'd describe what walking was like with that muddy wet shoe.
There you go, the podcast extra later on Redmen Plus.
So then we go into some stepping stones, but the river's burst, it's banked. So I didn't know this, but Kat's taking photos of me and the girls going over the stepping stones, but there's water all on them, like flying down the sort of rapids bit. So I get to the other side, and there's two that are completely submerged in water by about this much, maybe 8 inches, something like that. And I turn around to see where Kat can help me, and she's at the other side taking photos, the prick. So I'm now just like left on my own. I'm like, I've got to go. So I have to just walk through these wet, like basically I walk through a river at this point. So now I've got one muddy wet shoe and one completely soaking wet shoe. And the girls are in wellies, they're having the time of their life. And then there's another put where there's probably 2.5 foot of water on the bank where it should be should be a path. Where I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do here? Luckily, there's a log there. So I balance, someone dragged the log in, so I'm balancing down the log, like, and then I sort of tumble into the water a little bit because I'm not great at balancing, certainly not on a log that does this. And then I'm like, great, I've got to go back. So we have to do the whole thing again. So by the time I got home, my foot was in a bad way, to be honest with you. And my mood
follows.
It wasn't great.
Sounds like the new Uncharted game sounds a bit extreme for me, to be perfectly honest. Like, yeah, the good old week. Went to Arcade Club, absolutely, with my son, my cousin, and his kids, and basically wiped the floor with all of them on a lot of video games. Just good to see. I'm a big fan of shooting games. Feeling like a real dad is really dominating on shooting games is definitely something that makes you feel more masculine.
Bluey, the cartoon, has got a lot to answer for in my life.
Right.
Have you, the Australian dogs, anyone who's got kids?
Oh, mate, it's amazing. It's actually funny.
It's actually all right to watch.
The Granny's episode, top tier.
They play Shadowlands. So I went to Stanley Park with my kids the other day. They wanted to go down. I don't know why. But anyway, and next minute we're playing Shadowlands. And it's all right. I'm an idiot, as we all know, generally. So the kids, obviously, the aim of Shadowlands is you have to stand on shadows. If you go in the light, the crocodiles eat you or something. So we're walking on these things. And next minute, I'm a bit like Kath. I'm saying, the kids look boss, get some photos and stuff. Next minute, low branch. Fuck. Right. They just sneak through it. And it wasn't not only a branch, it was a branch, but it was like thorns. It was, like, I don't know, it's like holly leaves, but I don't know what they are, or spike. And basically, right into it, and I go, my head, and I turn around, the kids just laughing at me, and there's a leaf impaled, like thorned in my head, and I was like, fucking Bluey, you bastard thing. I was just playing all the way home, I'm chunting, I was driving home, and Claire's just laughing at me, going, not watching Bluey again, and I'm blaming this poor Australian dog for me not being able to watch where I'm going, because I'm too busy being a social media dad trying to take photos. It's my own fault, but it pissed me off.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've all been there, not literally being impaled by a leaf, but
it was stuck in my head. I should have took a photo, but I was pulled it out, fuming.
Seems like my weekend was all right by comparison. I did get suckered into last night watching Fresh on Disney Plus, which is the new Sebastian Stan film.
You tweeted about his penis?
Yeah, I've watched 2 pieces of Sebastian Stan content.
And you tweeted about The Little Mermaid in response?
I didn't. He said, I'm watching Disney Plus and the strangely obsessed with Sebastian Stan's penis. But I didn't see the stands, and I just thought he was watching The Little Mermaid remake or something. And there's a fucking Jamaican crab just whipping his knob out.
Yeah, if you between Pam and Tommy and Fresh, Sebastian Stan's penis has been on screen more than I expected it to be in my life in the last few weeks, and that film, it's a good film, but fuck me, like it's hard work that anyway. So yeah, I'm a little scarred today, but not as scarred as
literally
Sebastian Stan's penis. Right, okay, we had some super chats. Trick Josh, honestly, quality wise, would you rather have City's squad representing Liverpool or our current squad?
I wouldn't change our lads for the world.
Yeah, not a chance.
LaChill, this team equals their ability to manage themselves in the chaos of expectation. The boys have this amazing ability to captain the ship themselves. I think that's absolutely spot on there. The construction of the squad has been first rate. And Leon Gary says, Benfica both games and City both games. You have to choose to win 1, draw 2 and lose 1. Which result are you picking for each game and why?
You'll have to say that again for me.
So we play City in the league, City in the cup, and Benfica. You have to win 1, draw 2, lose 1.
I would win a Benfica 1 and lose a Benfica 1 and go through on aggregate. I would take drawing against City in the league. because I still think they've got another wobble in them. And I would draw with City in the FA Cup and then beat them on penalties.
Okay, I'm happy with that. I think that'll do. Right, Sam, we've got loads more questions to come on Podcast Extra over on Redmen Plus. Kate Witherspoon asked if you could have an Aguero moment in the season, which player would you want to score that winner to get us in the Premier League? Amongst other things, and there's a bunch of other things like if the Redmen team was participate in Survivor, who's most likely to win, who'd be the first to be voted off, and who'd be the most likely to orchestrate a brutal blind side. Let us know.
What's Survivor?
It's like a TV show where you fight for survival.
Okay, I like the one. Okay, we'll talk about this in a bit.
Yeah, anyway, for more of us, unrated, X-rated and beyond, the stuff that we cannot broadcast here on YouTube or beyond, get over to Redmen Plus and check out Podcast Extra. And, of course, go and check out Jay's incredible Ecru documentary streaming right now on redmenplus.com. Thank you so much for everyone who's watched us live here on YouTube. Podcast back next week at 10:30. And, of course, if you're listening after the fact on podcasting services, then leave a 5-star review. That's amazing if you could do that. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Pleasure.
See you now. See you all over on a Podcast Extra. Ta-da.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want even more Redmen TV content in your lives, both in video and podcast formats, do check out our subscription service, Redmen Plus, over on the redmentv.com. And Ross, why should these good people sign up to Redmen Plus?
You should do that right now because you'll get access to exclusive documentaries, interviews, and all our pre- and post-match content. Plus, for the business end of the season, there's 2 games a week for most weeks, so you get even more for your money.
Head on over to the redmentv.com and sign up to Redmen Plus.